From downtown, this is Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam, and you're listening to NintenDomain Podcast. Boom shakalaka!
This week on NintenDomain, Bakeru is coming to the U.S., and before there was a Xenoblade, there was a Xenogears.
This game was made for me, and I'm getting really sick of it.
Thank goodness I beat it again.
Welcome to NintenDomain Podcast, episode 434. Your place here, Nintendo fans, talk about various games and wishes that have come true. The Nintendo Switch is still getting games. And we're your hosts. I'm Trey, Dragon Slang Slacker Johnson.
I'm Jereme, friend of Grundo Mikowski.
I'm John, American Dreamcast knitter.
I have two American Dreamcasts. They came out.
I have no Dreamcast that is American, nor Japanese, nor whatever others there were.
I went through a box while I was in the basement being quarantined, and I found all of my Joy-Cons. I had lost them, and I found them in a box, and I also found my off-brand Joy-Con charger. But I also found some Dreamcast games. That's why I was reminded of that. I found my Evil Dead Dreamcast game that I actually have. I have the first Evil Dead game.
Is it like something about Boomstick, or am I thinking something else?
Hail to the Boomstick, I think.
No, I forget I thought it was just like Hail to the King or something. I don't know. It wasn't very good. It was like a bad Resident Evil is what it felt like. The one that I liked was Regeneration, whatever the third one was on PlayStation 2. That one was cool.
I would hope they had Bruce Campbell voice acting in all of them.
Yeah, you gotta. Can't not. Hail to the King. Yeah, that was my first thought. It was called Evil Dead Hail to the King. And okay. So it's Hail to the King, Fistful of Boomstick.
That's right.
And Regeneration. Anyway, the third one.
And we're getting another one.
Yeah. I'm excited about that. I thought about saying that at the top too. I guess we could talk about it. Yeah, we're finally getting an Evil Dead game to Switch, because we were supposed to get that one Evil Dead game that was like Friday the 13th, but we never got it. But now we are actually getting an Evil Dead game in the form of a beat 'em up, where you get to play as Ash Williams and hit people with your chainsaw and shoot them with guns. I guess if you pre-order it, you get a character from the TV show. And fun trivia. I know her. She was in the Mole Man at Belmont Avenue, which was a movie I worked on. And
cool.
I didn't realize that was the same person until like after the fact, because I think I was just looking at the credits of Ash versus Evil Dead. She was on the Showtime. Showtime, was it Showtime?
That wasn't the same one.
It was on Starz.
That wasn't the same one you worked with Robert Englund, right?
It is. Yeah, it is the same one. Robert Englund was on.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But I didn't know her. I didn't know who she was. And then later I realized, after I'd watched like a couple seasons of the Ash versus Evil Dead, that it was the same person.
That's pretty cool.
So there you go. I was like, oh wait, I know her. She was in that joke.
You're such an industry insider, Trey.
Yeah. I knew her like back in, when did we shoot that? I don't know.
Before Evil Dead 2 came out. I
had just moved to actually I think it was like I had just moved to that apartment in Logan Square. This is all killer radio for anybody who's listening to this. It's talking about my old apartment. No, it was when I first moved to the Tallman place when we shot that. So that was probably like 2009, maybe. I think
it's cool that we can go visit there again if we want, because Conan's still there.
Yeah, apparently it's not changed. He hasn't really done much with it. There's no decorations on the wall or anything, and our broken ass couch is still in the living room.
I'm a little confused about what the game actually is, though, because it's Retro Realms, Ash versus Evil Dead, but there's also Retro Realms Halloween coming out, I guess, on the same day on October 18th.
There's like 2 different games, but if you buy them together, you can swap the main characters. Like you can play Evil Dead with Michael Myers, or you can vice versa. Which I'm really curious about the Halloween one. It looks like you're just running around killing people, and that's the whole thing. Like that's new, I guess.
Maybe you're like one of the clones of Ash Ketchum or whatever. You're not the actual guy.
Ash Ketchum.
Well, you know who I mean. Who I mean.
Ash Williams.
You know who I mean.
Sure. I mean, yeah. Why not? They can be the same person.
Catching deadites with Pokeballs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious about it, but I mean, it's Way Forward's doing it, and all. They make great games, so
they have a good track record, as they say.
So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that's happening. But let's talk about games we got and games that we've been playing for the week. You wanna? Who wants to go? You guys can go first. Go before me.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Alrighty. Well, mostly what I did this week was play a lot more of the NES Championship game because I was late to the party and buying it. But yeah, I should have got this when it first came out, and I kind of wish I could have because then I probably wouldn't still be playing it. I'm about done playing it, I think, but I'm having a really good time with it. I went through and I beat everything. Obviously, I beat the game.
Nintendo World Championships.
Whatever the hell it's called. And then Nintendo World Championships.
I just didn't know if you said it, if you said the name of it or not.
I said NES Championship or something like that.
Yeah, I always wanted to call it NES Remix, even though it's obviously not.
I keep wanting to call it that. But you know that that mode you open after you beat it, I've played through that like 7 or 8 times. Almost down to 30 minutes. I think 32 minutes.
The legendary boss run thing where you go through
I love that. If not for the damn ice climbers one, it would be so perfect.
Even do you know the
Kid Icarus one?
Yeah, do you know the Kid Icarus one? Because that was the one that I like
the Kid Icarus one.
I like that one. I just don't know it that well, and it's kind of long, so that's.
Well, I played enough of it that
get lost.
I know it now. Yeah, because I've gone through it a lot. So yes, I do. I can go through that like butter every time, and the key to like getting through the eggplant wizards is just take damage, because when you're flashing, you can't get turned into an eggplant. So just kind of like hit them and walk into them and just like get past them.
Oh, okay, yeah, damage, but not from
because it's a speed run, so yeah, you can avoid that, and then. The best thing to do is not have to heal, because there's like the spring where you can heal down at the bottom, and it's really nice to do it, but it takes time. So if you want if you want to get your A rank, you got to be able to avoid healing there and stuff. And also make sure you're like using your little axe thing to like break the statues, because they give you extra dudes to fight the boss at the end.
I don't think I've ever done that in that game.
Well, this speedrun in particular gives you the items. Like you would normally have to buy them in the shop, but you have the items in your inventory, so you can harvest those folks to help you out. And they're really wonky in how they control. Like half the time they'll just like fly off the screen before they do anything. And then that last boss also, like the first few times I fought him, I was like, all right, well, this isn't that big of a deal. And then eventually, like I had a battle with him where he starts walking around the whole room and jumping around and stuff. I'm like, wait, what? I thought this was a stationary boss, but it's not. It can go anywhere at once. So you will get different plays depending on how you enter that boss room. Yeah. So the idea is to like have those little guys. But anyway, long story short, I went through and I got A rank or higher in every challenge.
I saw that.
That was one of the badges. And then I've been doing my best. Thank you. And I've been doing my best to play, I've only had access to 2 of the championships, but I've gotten the high ranking gold on those or whatever. No, it's like survival mode. I've gotten the trophies in all the survival modes, like by getting first place.
You did the gold one also?
Yes.
I turned it on. I turned it on this week just to see whatever the challenges were, just to fuck around with it a little bit. And I did they were actually not that bad this time. Normally there's one that I just can't do, but this one was.
I don't like there's a Kirby one right now that I don't really like.
But, the fire one, yeah, that kind of sucks.
But let's see.
But I mean, it's like it's better than the wiggly leg Luigi one that I hated, that John got an S on because you jumped past the carpet, which I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you jump on the key guys, the first 2 key guys, and you leap over to the land all the way across the big gap.
Yeah,
Yep.
I just hate the way. I mean, I didn't really play Mario 2 that much, but when I did, I played as Peach, so I don't really know the other characters that well, as most people
Same.
did. And I really don't like the way that Wiggly like Luigi controls. It's not fun.
But really, the main thing I've been trying to do, just because I don't know what else to do, because I want to keep playing the challenges and all that, even though it's just the same thing over and over again. I've been trying to unlock all the player icons.
Oh,
So there's 501 total icons you could unlock, and I've unlocked 434 out of 501. So
and some
Well,
of them
almost there.
are pretty expensive, right? Like I
Well,
saw, like
so-
some of them are like 1,000 or something like that.
I think the highest one is like 3,000, but
Yeah, that's a
I think
lot.
that might be like Ganon or something. But what I started doing was I went through and I just got all the 20s, and then I started doing all the hundreds, and that's what I'm working on now.
Oh, okay.
I've also at first I was just trying to clear out the games themselves. So I think I've got everything for Mario and Zelda. And then I'm just kind of going through and just buying the cheapest stuff and then getting to where I'm getting the more expensive stuff. And I found that the fastest way to get coins is to play the survival mode over and over and over again.
What I did is the way that I did it was I would just play find a legendary one that you're good at and just do that over and over again, because you get like 80 coins or 80 coins every time you beat it.
Yeah.
And you get more if you beat your time. And basically what I did is I'm sure I said it before. I just played the escape area in Metroid over and over and over again.
I hate it so
That's
much.
the one that I played, because I mean, I'm pretty good at it. I can go through it without falling at all. I mean, I got an A++ on it. I didn't get an S. Like I was kind of.
Yeah, I haven't got
I didn't get an S, but I got an A++. But no, I mean, the trick is, like jumping without pressing a direction, and then you won't spin, so you can control yourself a little bit better. Is the way you do it.
But you can also use the spin and just go straight up.
Well, I mean, you can't like wall jump like you could.
But you can kind of like hook around.
Hook around, yep.
No, I mean, I'm
And you
just
get
saying.
into a rhythm on it.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. For me, it's better to not spin, because the spin feels like it has less. And it's harder.
It's slippery.
It's harder to control, and you jump the same amount no matter whether you're spinning or jumping straight up. I just do it where I don't spin, because then I can control the character better, and then I just
think
and I
Jeremy's
jump as
cat
high
would
as you
be
can, and then you
Excellent
and then
at the Metroid escape.
It's trying
Given
to
that
escape
jump,
right now.
that was impressive. Yeah.
He's very acrobatic. But yeah, no, it's fun. Like the ice climber, obviously that's the one I hate the worst, because I've gotten to the point where I can consistently get up
Control
to.
sucks.
Well, control's awful. The like collision detection is really bad, because you're like, I'm going to land on that platform, and then you just like fly through it.
Yeah.
But I can get all the way to the top pretty consistently, but grabbing that stupid ass falcon at the end is really hard to do.
Oh yeah, the bird.
So I did eventually get an A rank on that, and I don't think I'm gonna try to get S rank and everything. I don't think I care enough, because I went into the pin collection, which is the other thing I'm trying to get everything of, and there is not a pin for getting S rank and everything.
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
just
a thing.
A for everything. I think I got an A on that one too, just because whenever I ran out of time, I would just start over again, because when you run out of time, it starts you at the beginning anyway for the ice climber one. So I still end up getting an A. As long as you get an A before it runs out of time and starts, or as long as you get to the end before it runs out of time, you'll get an A automatically.
Yeah.
So
It seems like that.
yeah. So you had to have had it start over and then kept going to get lower than that.
So as far as the pins go, you get a lot of those from getting the A rank and everything. Like that's most of what I have. But I'm up to 179 out of 183 pins. And two of those four I'm missing are getting 3 of the silver and gold championships, which I can't do till next week. So I won't be able to get the full 183 for at least another couple of weeks. And then I don't know. I haven't got the big one is like getting the top, getting in the top some kind of percentage. Well, I can't look at it right here. I'll tell you the bins I'm missing.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, with the with
rank in the top
challenges.
20%. Yeah, which I apparently haven't done yet. And then
participate
in the world championship 3 times. So that'll be next time. And then the silver and gold, that'll be next time as well. So I'm gonna probably have everything but that last one for a while, I think.
I mean, I thought John did pretty good on the Mario 2 one, and didn't you still get like 40% or something like that? Like, or was it higher than that?
Which Mario 2 one?
Well, the very first week of challenges, like I remember you got kind of high. Like Was it 40% or was it like 20%?
I don't remember, but I got my S rank for that, trying to do the challenge that week. So yeah, I think I got pretty high.
As far as the legendary trial goes, I'm currently sitting at A plus. So I'm trying to get it up to S, but I don't know how long that's gonna. I really love it. I love it. If it's not for the ice climber part, everything about it is so fun.
Yeah, I saw you've been playing it a lot. Like I saw you on the on the Switch. We switched places all of a sudden. Like you're playing the Switch all the time, and I'm playing PlayStation all the time. But not 5, but not 4. I'm playing 1 on 3.
Not 5, not 4, but 3. Not 5, but 4, but 3.
Technically 1 on 3, and not even my PlayStation. It's Jess's. But yeah,
I mean, it's yours through the act of
marriage.
Sacred matrimony.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're not using it, so I'm using it.
But
yeah, you ended up liking it. You're still in the honeymoon phase.
I do love it.
Nintendo World
exactly. So that's why I said I love it. It was made for me. Even Shauna was like watching me play it and like this is like seems like exactly the kind of game that you would like to play. So I don't know why I had cold feet about it for so long, but I'm glad I have it. And I'm getting sick of it because there's not a lot else to do, and I got to wait a week each time. So that's going to be maybe I'll check back in on it week to week, but I don't know. I thought about maybe doing a video of me getting through in 30 minutes if I can get to that point of the master challenge or something, the ultimate speedrun, legendary trial. But otherwise, I think I'm just focused on getting all the icons and pins, and I'll let you know next week if I got them. I did play PlayStation 5 this week. Actually, I'm to the final boss in Shadow of the Erd Tree, but I stopped my PlayStation Plus subscription, so I can't get people to help me out anymore. I can only do it myself, so it's really hard. The last boss is so hard.
Oh no, you dropped your PlayStation Plus thing, but before the release of Time Splitters 3 on PlayStation Plus, like the game you've wanted to play for so long.
I'll get it back eventually, but it's just no time for it right now, and I don't need to be paying for it. So I just like let it. I just turn it off for now, and which is kind of sad because I can't play like
you can't.
I can play
people in.
Slime Rancher 2, but I can't play my Slime Rancher 1. I can't play.
Oh yeah, the games.
One.
Yeah, the games that you got on there.
I can still play Balatro, and I can still play Elden Ring, and that's all that really matters right now.
Well, you bought those games.
I did, and I also bought Slime Rancher 2. So if I want to go back to that, I can play that. But otherwise, though,
I do want to say one thing before I forget. I found the picture on the subject of John's ranking. You got in the top 30% for the Mario Brothers 2 level. Like I remember you
nice.
I remember you got pretty high. That was the first week of challenges. The one where you got the S, where you jumped over the carpet. So I remember you were up there.
Oh yeah.
So I found the old pictures on Slack, and it says you were in the top 30%. So there you go. Good job.
I can
Thank
look
you
at
for
my
giving me my
recent.
flowers. I appreciate that.
I can see my recent results, but hold on. Yeah, I was.
I did. I was in like the top 40%. I think was the highest that I was, and that was for Metroid, like just for the regular, just jumping one, which is kind of it's like one of the first ones.
I'm in the top 44% for door to door, but yeah, I'm not going to go through each one. But I doubt I've.
I was looking for the highest one.
I do think it's funny that it tells me how old I was when the game came out and all that. That's kind of fun. But anyway, otherwise, after we got back from Galloping Ghosts, I talked about it a little bit on the bonus episode that we will publish in a couple months. But I wanted to play the arcade games on my Switch, so I played through.
We talked about that actually last week on the free episode. So
did we? Okay,
yeah, that's how we ended the episode last week. Was talking about what arcade games were on Switch.
Okay, well then, I guess the big thing is that I loaded up SNK 40, and I said I'm gonna beat Psycho Soldier because this is just like one of the best. Like I don't know, I love the theme song, especially the Japanese version. And it's the first.
The Japanese version is always the best version, in my opinion.
It's the first arcade to have a theme song with actual like recorded lyrics in it. So I think it came out in like '88, which surprised me that it came out so late. But yeah, it plays like basically the song with the vocals, and then it switches over to an instrumental version and just loops that for the rest of time. But I played it and it reminded me a lot of Altered Beast. So Psycho Soldier is like a sequel to this other game called Athena.
Oh yeah. So I was gonna just what I was thinking about playing SNK 40, just because Athena is that girl that we played as in SNK versus Capcom, the one that has all the moves that are like animated, where you turn into a mermaid and hit people with your fin and all that, like where all the moves are. You remember that one, John, where you like get on the giant lion and you shoot the fire at the person, or there's one where you get on a giant bird and you like all of her moves are like animated cutscenes.
Yep.
So I was like, who the fuck is this awesome Athena girl? I guess she's in that game that you're talking about.
So yeah, I liken it to Altered Beast in the sense that it's like it's got those like power-ups where you get to be like kind of like a normal version of yourself or whatever, or a dragon version or whatever. And then the boss at the end of every level kind of reminds me of Altered Beast as well, because you're always fighting like a big wall of bad guy, and you're basically doing like a destruction sequence of a building while you're also defeating the boss, and they're kind of like tied together. And each boss is like that. So, needless to say, I played it and beat it, and of course that involved continuing multiple times, exploiting the free play. But I'm happy to say I've finished that game. That song that's been stuck in my head for like 2 years now is like, at least I finished that game finally. So I just kind of throwing that on the pile of arcade games I've beat recently.
Sure.
And then there's one other thing I want to talk about, and we don't have to get into it for too much because it's kind of silly, but I went to go shopping the other day right after we recorded our bonus episode. I like went around and was.
Did you find it? Did you find any clothes?
Nope. But I went from store to store looking at a bunch of stuff, and I ended up. There's a store in Champaign called Salt and Light, and it's like I don't exactly know how. It's like a nonprofit, and it has some sort of I don't know. It's got some kind of ties to Christianity in some way, but it's like a grocery store and a thrift store combined. And I was going through there to see if maybe they had some cool clothes. And it's really close to my house, so it was like I just stopped there. Also, there's like a couch that we had our eyes on that we ended up not getting in time. But I went there, and while I was there, I saw this guy.
Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh, does he work?
Gen 1.
Oh, he's talking, but I can't hear it. You gotta hold him up to the mic.
Yes, it truly is that I call it an airship. It looks like a boat. Oh, well, as a matter of fact, it did start out to be a boat, but then I realized that I'm not very close to water. No, you're not very close to water. Yeah, it would be kind of good for.
Anyway,
wow.
I found a working Teddy Ruxpin for $10.
Nightmare.
And it is the original version, and this is the one I had when I was a kid. Like,
that's
cool. No, it's definitely creepy. I mean, I'll give you that, but
I never had one.
It was like I think it was like it had to have been 98 or not 98. It had to have been 88 or 89. My dad woke me up one morning and was like, Hey, come to the kitchen to eat breakfast. And I remember thinking, like, this is kind of weird because it's not a school day, but I have to get up early anyway to go eat breakfast. So I thought that was kind of strange. And then I went in the kitchen and my dad had a Teddy Ruxpin and a Grubby like playing already. They were like hooked up together.
Oh, you have the Grubby too. Yep.
And I have the Grubby, but I looked up online.
What's a Grubby?
Grubby is his caterpillar friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you could hook him up, and he could.
Does it move?
Part of the story too.
Does it move?
Yep, it does.
Yeah, and it works entirely off of a link. It's basically a link cable that goes from Teddy Ruxpin to Grubby, but that cable is proprietary and it's really expensive. It's kind of like trying to buy the GameCube, whatever that cable was, the fiber out or optic out or whatever.
Oh yeah, the HDMI.
Really? I always thought it was like just a regular audio cable.
It's not. It's its own proprietary thing.
Are you talking? No. You're talking about the component out for the GameCube? No, it's always been incredibly expensive.
No. That's
no.
I knew that, but it's similar with this though. But it's really cool because it came with a tape and it's got like a working tape player in it and stuff.
And that was the original story that you had in there too. I remember that because I had Teddy Ruxpin, I had Grubby.
Yeah,
all
it's
that.
the airship. Airship story.
So if you if you put in a tape of something else, does his mouth like move to Metallica or whatever?
It does. But it's not. So I've done a lot of research.
Well,
on
it
this
won't be
actually.
it won't be synced, but it'll kind of just kind of blab a bit at it, right?
So
and play whatever's in there.
The way the tapes work is there's 4 tracks, and one of the tracks is like these audio signals that cause the servos to move, but they're inaudible through Teddy Ruxpin. But if you were to play this tape on a standard like tape player, you're going to hear all these weird grinding sounds. And those are the servo signals or whatever that make the mouth and nose move. So, and then that's also getting sent through Teddy Ruxpin to Grubby, and then also to, I think, Newton Gimmick, the scientist guy. There was also a figure of him that's way more rare to find, but I thought this was really cool because like I did not expect this to work. And for $10, like I immediately I looked it up on
good
eBay.
Shape.
I even bought it. I was like, and for a non-working one, you can sell it for like $30, whatever, not a big deal. But I mean, it's in really good shape, and I was like,
Looks
it has
clean.
a tape with it. Yeah, it's really clean. And I opened up the back, and there's no corrosion on the battery, which was crazy because you usually expect to see like corrosion in there. But kind of here's a funny thing that I did. So I only had 3 C batteries. So I actually wrapped a AA in foil. So you can see it there.
Oh,
that's a double A battery.
You can do that to make a C battery?
I guess so.
I didn't know that.
I guess so. I didn't know that either. I just was like, I wonder if this will work.
You just threw it together? Like you didn't look it up or anything?
I didn't look it up or nothing. I was like, well, I only have 3 C batteries, but I really want to see if this works, pun intended.
Well, it worked. It worked really
foil, and it worked.
It worked really good. We heard it earlier. I didn't know that. I mean, I don't really have anything that uses C batteries or have any C batteries, but if I ever did,
I didn't know it was a thing until I tried it myself, and it worked. And I'm sure if you look online, you'll find stuff about it. But I just came to that conclusion by myself because it's kind of out of desperation. I'm like, I gotta see if this works, because I really want it to work with Grubby, but now I know I can't afford that cable anytime soon to make them sing together. But in the meantime, I could buy some tapes, and then like I said, I've done some research online about how the whole how to use a 4-track recorder, which I do actually own a 4-track cassette recorder.
Yeah, you used it before for the band, right, or one of the bands.
Yeah, and I can use that to make custom tapes. So
that's cool.
So yeah, Teddy Ruxpin, like $10, functional. I'm very excited about it.
So you could take this audio from this podcast and rework it on your 4-track recorder.
Get it on cassette tape.
You gotta get that new Gimmick. So one of us could be Gimmick, one could be Teddy, and the other Grubby, and that'd be good. Yeah. That's your assignment.
Well, the cat just spilled something, so I have to go clean it up. But that was all I got. If you want to keep moving on.
Okay. Well, John and I, we actually went to we went to a disc replay that we never talked about last week, so we could talk about that. Speaking of resale shops or whatever. We went to a disc replay on the way back from the wedding party before we knew we all had COVID and all that, of course. But we went to disc replay. It wasn't, there wasn't really a whole lot of games there. It kind of looked a little picked over. I think, what did they have, like 3 GameCube games maybe, and they were all like sports titles or something like that?
Yeah, they had more than that. I think they probably had like 2 dozen or something like that. But
no GameCube games? No. They had like 6. GameCube games are very rare in most places. Like I looked at them, trust me. There was like 4, and they were all like sports games.
The one that I was thinking about, what's the Pac-Man Championship or Pac-Man
they had Pac-Man Verse, which I have. The one
Pac-Man Versus, yep.
Yeah, well, it's like it's like a collection. It's like Pac-Man. I forget what it is. I have it. It's like Pac-Man World 2 with Pac-Man Verse or whatever. They come together.
Right.
But you didn't want to get it because it was a player's choice. But but there wasn't very many. It was like 4 or 5 GameCube games that they had. And
I did get a game though.
I did buy a game. Yeah, I bought Mortal Kombat for Game Gear. So there you go.
Yeah, I
tried it, made sure it worked.
Up the Game Gear section, and I found that along with there was a Beavis and Butthead game and a couple others. But I thought, Trey would like this.
I'll go for Mortal Kombat. I might have enough other shitty Mortal Kombat games. I might as well get that one too.
I think you previously mentioned that you would like to get Mortal Kombat on Game Gear. I think you said that if we go back and check the tapes. I think it's
maybe
there somewhere.
Well, I did actually play that Mortal Kombat 1 because my stepbrother, Bubba, he had that. He had a Game Gear. and he had Mortal Kombat 1, and I remember playing Mortal Kombat 1 on his Game Gear, and I remember like the skeletons always looked really weird. Looked like they had like their bones were bigger than they were like on Super Nintendo or whatever. But I played it. It's I mean, you could say it plays better than the Game Boy. I mean, the original Game Boy Mortal Kombat is definitely worse than the Game Gear one, but it's it doesn't have a whole lot. It's missing a lot of audio, obviously. Because it's a lesser thing than the Genesis or the Super Nintendo, and also it's kind of hard to play Mortal Kombat with 2 buttons. It's like, how do you block? I think you block with start or A and B together or something. I don't know, because Mortal Kombat's is at least a 5-button game, so it's kind of hard to play. I mean, I guess they did it for Game Boy, and how did you block on Game Boy? Who knows? I mean, Game Boy maybe Select. You might have blocked with Select. I don't know. I mean, I have that game.
The question that everybody wants to know the answer to is there blood in the Game Gear version?
Yeah, there's a blood code. You have to put it in when you start the game. There's a paragraph that shows up describing what codes are, which I think is funny, and that's when you're supposed to put in the blood code. But that was the big thing at the time. That the Genesis and the Game Gear had blood codes, and the Super Nintendo did not. And I'm sure I've said this before on the show, but when I was a teenager, I called Nintendo Power specifically, and I asked them what the blood code was for Mortal Kombat 1, and the guy was like, dude, he acted like he worked on it. I don't think he actually did. He's like, we spent so much time taking the blood out of there. You think we'd put a blood code in there? That's what he said to me on the phone. And it was the counselor's corner on, or the Nintendo Power hotline or whatever it was, the one that costs like $3 a minute or whatever. But yeah,
$3 a minute to get mocked.
Dude, are you like a total squeeweezer? Like, we would never do that, bruh.
Well, I mean, at the time, what was this, like 91 or 92, like whenever it came out on the Super Nintendo? I mean, it was, it was still the time. There's a whole lot of rumors going around. People were still saying that there was a blood code on the Super Nintendo one. And, I wanted to find out, so I called Nintendo Power. Also, I called Nintendo Power later for another Mortal Kombat question. I called them and asked them how to unlock smoke for Mortal Kombat 3. And that was a real code, so they did tell me that. So there you go. And I did call them one time as well because the codes, the passwords for Super Empire Strikes Back were wrong in the Nintendo Power, and I called them and asked for what the right ones were because they were incorrect, the ones that were in the classified section. So there's my stories of Nintendo Power stuff. And I also bought just some Star Trek toys. I bought an old Scotty, an opened old Scotty, and I also bought a Ferengi in the box, which I actually never saw.
Oh, nice.
A boxed Ferengi. It's like from the original appearance of Ferengi, so it kind of looks monkey-like. I always thought they looked kind of really racist in that first Next Generation Ferengi episode. It was like kind of like, I don't know. Maybe not as bad as the Kazon, but and I was like, why are they so stupid?
I'd say they really mock the Ferengi too until
Deep Space Nine, probably.
That are kind of cool. DS9, yeah.
But yeah, I'd never seen a Ferengi, a boxed one with a card, like the one sealed one. So I got that, and that's what I got. But John got something too.
Yeah, I got something which turned out to be not what I thought it was, but it's still okay. So
still right to me.
I was looking at the old ColecoVision games. So I've got a ColecoVision, always keeping that out for games for that because you can get them for pretty cheap still. And I found a Donkey Kong. So I picked up the Donkey Kong, brought it home. I knew that I already had one. But this one that was at the store was a white one. So I thought that I don't have a white one at home. I better get this white one. And turns out it's actually not a ColecoVision game, but you can, for anybody who's watching this, you can see the reason for my confusion. Okay, so here is the ColecoVision Donkey Kong for the ColecoVision.
It's a black cartridge that says.
It's like white though, but it's white.
Black cartridge.
That's black. It's a black with white letters. That one's black, but the other one.
Oh, it's just like
white.
Now here is the the Donkey Kong for Atari.
Oh, which is white with a black sticker.
We did have that one.
But says
we
Caleco,
that one,
and says Caleco on it.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Why does it say Caleco? Confusing.
So Caleco published it, but
because Caleco actually made it. So not only published it, they actually made it. some research into it, and I remembered after I looked into it, I was like, oh yeah, I've heard this story before. So Caleco actually made Donkey Kong for Atari. They licensed it from Nintendo. They made the Atari version.
Do they also do the Mario Bros?
Maybe so. I don't know that for sure. Maybe so. But there's speculation because this is the Atari Donkey Kong is a notoriously bad game, not unlike the Pac-Man game and all that. But there's speculation that Caleco botched this port on purpose in order to make their own ColecoVision Donkey Kong look superior. I mean, that sounds logical to me. It does. Sounds like some old West shit like that could have gone down in this era.
I mean, the 2600 and the Coleco were like hardware style. They were similar, right?
The ColecoVision was actually notably far superior even at the time.
So yeah, I mean, like, of course it would look like crap on the Atari.
Yeah, because the Atari came out in '77, I believe. The ColecoVision came out in '82, so it had 5 years of technology on top of it. And ColecoVision was well known for looking a lot like the arcades. And this actually, the ColecoVision Donkey Kong is actually pretty good.
Does it have all the levels, or do you know? Does it leave out the Pie Factory like the Nintendo version does?
I doubt that it probably doesn't have all the levels. I mean, it will, considering that it would be less power than the NES did, right? So it shouldn't have all in there. I mean, I don't know. I never played it, but it would be crazy if it had more levels than the NES one did on a lesser system.
I don't know. I haven't played it in forever, like 15, 16 years. So, but it did inspire me to maybe I should get back to hooking up my old systems again. Give these actually a try.
Yeah,
you could hook them all up at once.
I could go for that record.
That's insane record.
I wanted to see the switchers for that. So apparently, somebody
the spaghetti
in Saudi Arabia hooked up like 440 systems to a TV.
444 systems.
Are there even that many?
Guinness World Record was set.
He's got to have doubles in there.
Apparently there are, but he's got. They kind of went into it a little bit. So this is the story. A guy in Saudi Arabia broke the Guinness World Record, set the Guinness World Record. I don't even know if there was a world record before. I don't think there was.
The old record was 3.
Most consoles hooked up to a TV, to a single TV, and he set it at 444 systems.
Oh my god, that's 2/3 of the number of the beast.
Yeah, I didn't really look into it. I just looked at the title and I was like, oh, that's a lot of systems. But I was like, do that many systems exist? Did he use all of the minis that are out there?
He was
and all the knockoff NESs that you can buy at the mall.
He's counting all the minis. I think it seems like he had every system. He must have every system that's ever existed. You know, all the old
maybe variations
Pong machines.
He's got a couple Ouya's in there.
He had a bunch of. He stated specifically that he had a bunch of the like TV games. You know the stuff you find at Target that has like Frogger on it.
A bunch of different Pongs.
The plug and plays.
Yep. The plug and plays. Yep.
Plug and plays, as you will.
So yeah,
I would just like to see like systems. How fucked up the signal is, or maybe that's part of it too. That the signal has to be clear.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, it seemed like the signal was clear.
He also had 300. He had 300 VCRs like with it running into them also to like.
I mean, I've used VCRs to. Let's say for all those extra hookups.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You might have like 2 AVs in there for you to fuck with.
I've got a VCR back here that's exclusively. It doesn't work as a VCR. It's exclusively just an AV switch.
Yeah, I have 2 VCRs that don't work, but I hope to fix them sometime. But I could always use them as extra inputs too if I wanted to, for the TV.
This one actually has gummo stuck in it.
Still?
It's the gate.
Hasn't it been in there for like 10 years or something at least?
A long ass time.
You're gonna have one VHS stuck in the VCR. Seems like Gummo would be like a good one to have stuck in there.
Yeah, it's my Gummo VHS
because it's got gum in it. Yeah, because Gummo came with gum.
I don't know why that's of all the tapes I could have put it in it, but that's how it worked out.
Anyway, you want to talk about your other thing, John? Why don't you finish it off?
Oh yeah, I beat. Thank goodness you're here again. Love that game.
Do you find
Is there
do you find any new things the second time around?
Nope. There's no new. I mean, there's no new additional content, no rewards for beating it again, or anything like that. But
no alternate paths or anything?
But you can
no alternate paths.
You
nope,
might like
it's the same game.
notice more or something the second time around.
You're gonna notice more because it's such a densely packed game. I did notice a few more jokes. I did like take a turn here and there where like, oh, I didn't see that before. But it's the same game, and I'm not complaining about that at all because I think it was just like a beautiful, succinct, hilarious little package. I will pick it up again and play it through another time, no doubt. It's just I feel like a lot of the jokes, I'm gonna be thinking about them, for a long time to come. And this is it's a classic. It's a future classic. I don't know. I think a lot of people are getting turned on to this game, and I think that it will be notable for a long time to come.
I have a feeling it's gonna occupy that space that Goose Game did back the year it came out.
Yes, and I think the only thing that it has going against it in that regard is that Goose Game was for everybody. I mean, it was appropriate for everyone, and as much as I like dark humor or blue humor and all that,
blue humor is definitely from what I've seen.
I like this game.
That's for the working class, right? The blue humor for blue collars.
Blue collar humor, yes. And this is a blue collar game,
It's actually, one step below Biz Cash.
Like it literally takes place in a coal town, so this is a very blue collar game. I think that's the only thing. The only thing that it has going against it is that it's actually an M-rated game, which surprised me. I thought it was like a PG-13 kind of level, but it is rated M, and so I think that kind of limits the wide appeal. But they made the game they wanted to make, and so I applaud them for that. This is a fantastic game, and my highest recommendations for anybody who has the faintest of interest in this game. It's great.
I'll be getting it at some point for sure.
I think you'll enjoy it.
I liked what I saw you play of it. Like, I think it's a game meant to be played with Shauna sitting there and maybe have a couple of drinks and just play, maybe switch the controller back and forth or something.
Yeah, it's a perfect game for playing if you got one or more people in the room who aren't so interested in games, but like it's just eye catching and it's fun to watch too. It's as fun to watch, I think, as it is to play. Other than that, I did get back into Tears of the Kingdom again this week.
Oh, there you go.
So, yep.
And you finally finished it, right?
Not yet.
Oh,
not yet. But I got almost all of the side quests done. Like, wow. I think I've got to find one more picture for a stable somewhere, and then there's one other mission, and beyond that, it's just like go beat Ganon. Now, I would like to.
Do you have all the?
Did you do that extra dungeon that's in the depths where you got to put the robot guy together or whatever?
The robot guy together.
Don't you put a robot guy together in the depths? You like put a person. You have to like find parts. You've done it, Jereme. It's the last. It's the last dungeon you do before you go to Ganon, right?
It's like, well, it's a secret dungeon that you don't necessarily. I don't know if you have to do it, but it's definitely super helpful.
Oh, I think I found it because I was trying to go to Ganon, and whatever the quest was, it sent me there. Sent me.
It's the ultimate dungeon of the depths for sure. Besides, obviously the killing Ganon, which is spoiler alert in the depths.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we all knew that because you have to go under the castle. Like I tried to do that early in the game. I mean,
have you gotten all the Have you gotten all the the
shrines or whatever
the fast travel points and whatever the shrines underneath are of the other
the shrines? Did you get all the shrines?
Have I gotten all the? I mean, I haven't gotten any sort of like signal or whatever. You got all the shrines. I know there's at least 2 on my map, which I've been to, which I haven't defeated yet. So I guess I do still have to do that, get all the shrines and stuff.
Well, it's pretty much. I mean, do you have the depths completely lighted up or whatever? Do you have?
Yes, I've got the depths completely lit up.
Oh, cool.
Then if you have all those, then you know where all the shrines are, because they're all on top of those.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so I mean, so you got past that really annoying shrine where you had to have a specific getup to get into it. That was when I quit. Was during that one, where you have to have the special like Ninja Clan outfit or whatever to get into the shrine. I was like, I'm not.
Oh, the
I mean,
Jaeger
it-
shrine,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no, I didn't do that one yet. The door is still locked for that one. I still got to do
yeah.
that.
That was when I quit Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, I don't want to look for this. Actually, I did look for it for a minute, and I was like, this isn't fun, so I stopped playing.
I think I've got the pants and the mask, and I don't have the shirt. So I still do have to get all the outfits, and I'd like to do that. I'm not going to give a timeline anymore because I've already passed my timeline several times on this. But yep, back on it, which means that I might not ever play the Nintendo World Championships ever again because it's officially out of the Switch.
That's what I said. Yeah, since you got it physical, you'll never put it back in because you'll just play Tears. That's like me in Mortal Kombat 1. I'll never play another physical game because Mortal Kombat 1 will just forever live in my Switch. So it can just keep updating itself. Keep adding new characters to it.
I've got a physical copy of the World Championships on my Switch right now.
Like Homelander. He's in there now. We should have played that game. I was thinking about that while we were at the arcade. I was like, why don't we play Mortal Kombat? We could have played that at the hotel. It was fun to play SNK versus Capcom and a little bit of Street Fighter 2. Also, which
we should have played it. Everybody went to Switch 2. Missed out on that.
I found it. I found where it was. I didn't know where it was. It was in. I found it. It was on my. It's like in my office with the other Switch games. Because I was like, what happened to that game? And I found it. That's where it was. It was with all the other Switch games where it should be. So there it is. I was like, I thought I lost it. That would have been a funny one to play, but also probably nobody would have liked it. But if you're done,
I'm all good on my stuff. Yep.
If you're done, I could talk. Since we were talking about Street Fighter, I could talk about this guy here. I've been doing more. I've been playing with this guy some more. With the, it's actually
That
called
button controller.
It's actually called the S16. It's called the Hot. It's like the Hot 42 S16.
This is Trey's weird fighting pad that has no joystick.
This is not just my weird
buttons.
fighting pad. Like this.
It's actually hosted by Casey Kasem every week.
Casey Kasem's dead, so he's not hosting anything but hell. But no, no. This is not just my thing. This is if you follow the fighting community at all, these are huge in the fighting community. I got the actual name of it now. It's called the Leverless Fight Stick, is what it's called, or the Leverless Controller, if you want to look it up. And I actually found a whole bunch of videos about it, and I've just been kind of looking up tricks, or supposedly there's shortcuts you can do. I haven't got any of them to work yet, but where like instead of doing like down and right to do like a Hadoken, you can like hold down and tap right in Hadoken. But I can't get that to work. I don't know if I need to change it up or whatever. But I watched a video of a guy talking about this specific controller earlier, and people seem to like it. They say it's like the best of the cheaper ones of these because some of these are $100. This one is like $50. So I mean, that's what
I think it'd be a really, really
see how-
good accessibility controller on its own too.
Yeah. And what's cool about this one is what they said in the video as well. And what I noticed is most of these like leverless controllers, they only have the four. Well, they have the 1, 2, 3. So this is like left. This is like left, down, right, and up is down here. But this one has an up here also. Like normally they don't have two ups. And actually, if you're playing in a fighting tournament, you have to disable one of the ups. You can't actually have two ups going at the same time, which is what I realized from watching a video. And the reason this is called the S16 is because it actually has 16 buttons on it, where normally they would have less. So like these buttons here, these are not on the normal of these leverless controllers. So this has extra ones. And also same
If you're
thing.
listening to this and you're not watching it, please look up what this controller looks like, because I'm having trouble.
Not a
wrapping my
lever
brain
to be
around.
seen. No simple machines in sight.
I don't know how you actually use this thing, because it's very, first of all, it's pretty small. Like it doesn't look like it has a comfortable like layout for two hands. It looks like it's made to be played with just one hand. And then the way the buttons are laid out, I don't know, there's no like obvious like WASD, left, down, up, right.
It looks like there is.
No, there is actually. That's the thing that makes this different from other leverless controllers. Like I was saying, so this
it has two ups.
The reason that there's an up here is because of the WASD. That's why they're going for that to try to emulate the way you would have it. So basically, these three buttons, these ones right here on the left, this is left, down, right. That's what these are. On these regular ones, it's left, down, right, jumps on the bottom. The reason that it's like that is so that you can hold all of them with one hand. So you can hit all of these like that. Is why it's like that. But this one also has one on top if you want it to feel like you're playing on a keyboard. That's why it's there. And these are all buttons here. So you have X, Y, or what is it? X, Y, B, A, and then the L, and then the L and R and the Z and R and all this. And then all the extra buttons are up here. So
are you supposed to use two hands on this thing?
Yes,
because it's pretty small.
It is smaller than normal. That's probably why it's cheaper, because it's not as big. But yeah, you hold it like this.
I mean, it's bigger than a controller.
It's just a little bit bigger than the Switch, But it's cool. I like it, and I'm still trying to figure out how to use it. But no, it's really big. And I was watching this video, like I said, of somebody reviewing this specific controller, and he was talking about, like, if you were to play competitively with this, you can't have extra buttons aside from what a regular leverless controller would have. So all of these extra buttons that are here, you would have to completely disable them, because you can only have the regular buttons that would be on the controller. Because if you have extra ones, that's considered cheating. So I thought that was kind of interesting that I didn't know about. Because when I first heard about these a few years ago, they were already like outlawing them from tournaments, because they thought that people would do moves too quick because of doing it on buttons instead of like a stick or whatever. So that was the first time I heard about it. But then I heard, I know what I think it was mostly Eric was talking about it on Axe of the Blood God, using it for Tekken 8 and all that. And I don't know. I've said it before. I like the precision of it. So normally, if you're trying to do like Bison's. If you're trying to do like Bison Psycho Crusher or whatever, where you do like hold back and tap forward, if you're using a digital pad or a stick or whatever, the problem is there's like inaccuracy from like going back and forth. But this one, you're hitting back and forward. There's no way for you to miss back or forward because they're buttons, and that's the big thing for me. It makes it much more accurate, because you won't end up hitting a diagonal way, because you're either left or right. There's no possible way to hit it the other way, so you can nail the moves much easier. And that's why some people would say that this is an easier way to do it, which I don't think is true. You have to learn this just like anything else. But I've been watching videos, just trying to figure out what the stuff of it is. I tried to play against Joe and Shake and Logan on Monday, and I didn't do very well, so I switched back to controller. But I did beat SNK versus Capcom with Athena, which she's kind of overpowered, but she's still fun to play with. So I did play through the
Psycho Soldier,
the regular arcade mode with her, and you have to fight her. You have to do a mirror match in heaven at the end. So there you go. But yeah, I've been trying to learn it, and there's a bunch of videos out there. I kind of just randomly stumbled upon one on Facebook, just a video of somebody showing how to do Gil's his like flip kick, his like down up flip kick. This is always hard to do. And they were saying, like, well, you hold down and then you tap up. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds like a game changer. But this one doesn't do that. Like, if you hold down and tap up, it hits them at the same time. It doesn't cancel that out. So I think I have to, anyway, mess around with it. But I brought it with me to Kalamazoo, so I'm still fucking around with it. And I was playing just practice mode earlier when we had a break, just to fuck around. And I watched videos that are just like, they're like, just play the practice mode. Just teach yourself to just do like the Hadokens and the Shoryukens and all that stuff. Like, teach yourself how to do all the things that you know how to do on that, and just kind of start from there. So that's what I'm doing.
I just want to use it to play like Vampire Survivor, a simple game like that, where you could it's a playground in that sense that you could make it whatever you want it to be through the Switch controls.
I mean, you could actually. When I first got it, I played Super Mario Brothers 1 with it. Like when I first got the controller in the mail, I was like, let's just play a regular game that I'm used to playing. And I played Super Mario Brothers 1 on NES with it, just to like see what it felt like. And yeah, you can play as long as it has digital pad. And I think you can, you can map these to anything. So even if it's only analog, I'm sure you could still make it work. Because I think you can switch them. Yeah, because you can switch them in the Switch menu even. So There you go.
It seems like a fairly affordable accessibility controller. I mean, I've said that like multiple times, but I am interested for that reason.
But people use it like competitively. Like it is very
Yeah.
popular in the competitive scene and all that. Like I just found like this huge like this like just multitude of YouTube videos of people rating all of these different leverless controllers. There's one guy that was like, I'm rating every one I've ever used, and there's like just whole channels just dedicated to these controllers and just talking about them. So they are, they're quite big in the fighting community. But I only have like a couple more things to talk about, and it won't be that long. So let's just do it, and then we'll take a break. The big thing that I played, you guys should play it because it's free. But Bakeru, it had a longer name when it was Japanese, but now that it's American, it's just called Bakeru. It has a demo now. That was the game that was made by Ibisu, as in Abisumaro or Abisumaro. If you ever played the Mystical Ninja games, there's a character from that, and he's actually named after Ibisu, who is the developer who worked on all these games. And it's basically Good Feel Studios, and they were, they did a bunch of the Mystical Ninja stuff, and this is the spiritual successor to Mystical Ninja. It's called Bakeru, and it was only in Japan, and now it's coming to America. It's coming out like the 5th or something like that. It's like really close. It's coming out like right around the time of what you call it, a Gimmick 2. They're like on the same week. John and I both got our wishes granted for the same week of games there. And no, I'm excited that it's coming out in English. And I played through the Japanese demo before, and I don't really know what's happening. And now I played through the English version, and I feel like I know more now. Differences are the Japanese one, you basically play through like the first couple hours of the game and where it was on the map and all that. And the American one actually just gives you 4 stages to play. But the stages are worth playing. You should at least play. There is a robot battle level that is awesome. You're basically you're a kaiju. You're like you're a tea kettle that turns into a giant robot that fights another giant robot in a city, and it actually kind of weirdly feels like Punch-Out because you control your left and right arms with L and R. It also kind of feels like Arms a little bit because you can charge them, and you can do like a giant springy arm like you would in Arms as well. And you're kind of like, playing like try to dodge the other one, and you have a dodge button. You also have a super move that you build up, and you can beat the guy down, and then you knock him down, and then they have to be down for 10 counts like you would in a Punch-Out game. Or you have to or if you hit them down 3 times, then they get knocked out, same like you would. It's weird. It feels like a combination of like Punch-Out and Arms and like the flair of like Mystical Ninja. So play that. There's also there's like a Star Fox level in there as well, where you get inside of a giant dog head, and you go and you dog fight in the air. You get in a dog head and you shoot missiles out of the ears of a dog, and you're this head that's flying around, and you have a laser that you build up, and you fight a giant robot also in that. And those are really good. Those are like the last 2 ones. And there's 4 levels in there. There's 2 like platformy ones. In the Japanese demo, there was a racing level in there that was cool too. But yeah, I was already excited about it on the Japanese one. I'm even more excited about it now that I played the robot level and the flying level. I was like, oh, that's really cool, because if you played any of the Mystical Ninja games, there was the Impact robot that you played as, where you did have these giant robot levels where you fought other giant robots, and those were always really fun. One thing, hopefully it's in the regular version, but there's no anime songs. We need the anime songs. Come on, that was my favorite thing from Mystical Ninja. It had that incredible opening. It had the awesome I Am Impact song. It the final boss has the I Am My Life is a Stage or something like that. I've played it on here before. He does he like sings about how his life is a stage. But it had like 3 full on voiced songs, and it was pretty huge for Nintendo 64 at the time. And yeah, that was one of my favorite games ever. So it's pretty awesome. And the main character, it turns out he's actually not even a human. He's a Tanuki. He's a fucking Tanuki, and he turns into a human. That's what happened. He has shapeshifted, so he's not even human. I didn't know that because I did not speak Japanese or read Japanese, and I didn't know what was happening in the Japanese demo. And now I actually know. And there's all these like kind of fun like poop and pee jokes in there. It's got that silly Japanese flair to it. Because you find this little guy called Scoop, and you walk up to him, and he kind of looks like the little like Breath of the Wild, like the turd, like the Korok turd or whatever. Like it's got that little like swirl, and you walk right up to him, and then he moves, and it turns out he's just like he's wearing like a coat and a hoodie, but it's all like a swirl. But he looks like this like poop swirl, And he even says like, "Oh, I thought you probably thought I was Poop or whatever, but my name is Scoop." His name is Scoop, like you scoop up poop. You know, like it's got silly stuff like that in there. But he's basically like a collectible. You find him in different places in each level, and he gives you trivia. He'll tell you about pretty much like Japanese trivia. You know, like they'll talk about various things and all that. Like he talked about the origin of katsu, like when they first made those dishes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's got fun. It's got fun Japanese trivia in there. You collect souvenirs as well, which are also like Japanese stuff. You know, so it's very. If you like Japanese stuff like I do, and you like weird, quirky Japanese games, check it out. You like basically you fight with taiko drumsticks, the two like fat sticks. You hit people with it by alternating L and R. Is basically how that works. And there was all this description on how to play that I just missed completely because I couldn't read any of the Japanese text on the other one. But it's on sale right now for $35. I think it's going to be $40 for full price, but I'm getting it for sure because I hoped for so long for it to get an American release, and I'm very excited now because I'm a huge Mystical Ninja fan, and I'll do whatever I can to support any version of it, even though it's not Goemon, but it looks like Goemon. So there. But yeah, play that. Play the robot level at least. It's very fun. It's very cool, and it's quirky and fun.
Free.
And it's free. Punch dudes with your springy arms. It's great. And the other thing I've been doing a lot, like for most of the week, I barely played my Switch because I've only been playing Jess's PS3, PlayStation 3, because I've been playing a game called Xenogears. Did you ever play Xenogears, Jereme, on PlayStation 1? You ever played that game?
I did not. I do remember wanting to play it back in the day.
So if you want to try to get a hold of a Xenogears now, physical, it's about $200 opened. I looked it up. It's not cheap. I thought maybe I had a disc of it, but I guess I didn't. Anyway, the main thing about, like I said earlier in the very opening of the show, before there was a Xenoblade, there was a Xenogears. Xenogears is like Takahashi's first like project on his own, and if you've played any of the Xenoblade games, you see a lot of DNA in there. Especially, believe it or not, Xenoblade Chronicles X. This game reminds me a lot of that.
Wow!
Because Xenogears, gears are mechs, and a lot of this game has like you have your regular battling and you have your mech battling, and there's even a fighting game in here where you fight as your mech as well. But it reminds me of, like, everybody has a mech in the game, and that kind of reminds me of X. You know, like how everybody had a mech that you would buy, and you would fly and you would land and you could get out of your mech and you could do stuff outside of it or get inside. It kind of reminds me of that, except like upgrading your mech is much easier in Xenogears than it is, and much cheaper than it is in X, because Xenoblade Chronicles X, you have to pay millions of dollars to get like better mechs or skells. They're called skells in that one, but it kind of reminds me of that a lot. But I'm playing it for Mike's show for games my mom found. We're recording this weekend, and I was trying my hardest to beat it, and I'm like 45 hours into it, and there's like 60 hours, so I'm really close. But it's really good. Like I think I put in my notes here, it has its ups and downs, like literally. Like I mean that because it has these. It kind of has these like platforming parts in it that aren't great. Like you have to kind of run and jump at certain parts with your mech, which is really not that fun. But the battle systems are really good. It has this really cool like turn-based battle thing. But you use a triangle, square, and X, and they all use a different amount of AP points, and you get a certain amount of AP points. But if you can find a specific combo and do it enough times, it becomes a death blow, and then you can use that, and that has higher damage. So it's like the way you battle on it is much different from any other RPG I've ever played. And I'm going to say it on the show, and we'll see what anybody says, but it's currently my favorite PlayStation 1 RPG of all time. I've only played like 3 PlayStation RPGs, and I've only beat one of them, and that was Final Fantasy VII, and I didn't like that game very much. So I played Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, didn't really like any of them. I think I liked Wild Arms, but I barely played that one. And I put 40 hours into this one, and I like it a lot. So it's a good time. And like I said, if you're interested in Takahashi and the Xenoblade stuff, it's really interesting to see the beginnings of it. And I don't know if you can even buy it anymore. It was a virtual console game on PlayStation 3. It was like $5, and I bought it for $5 like a long time ago. And I remember playing the opening of it and being like, "Oh wow, this game looks awesome," because it has this really seamless way of like going from sprites to like anime cutscenes, and the sprites look really good. Like the animations are really, really good in there as well. And I was like, oh wow, this is really impressive. And I guess it kind of has, most people would say it kind of has a bad name because they say it's unfinished, because in the second disc, there's a whole parts that there's a lot of it where it's just paragraphs describing what's happening, I guess, because there's different theories. They say that they either ran out of money or they ran out of time. I think the one that's true is that Takahashi, he wanted to have this complete story, and I guess that was the only way he could do it was to describe some of it in paragraphs. So there's some parts where your character's just kind of sitting there, and it's just telling you what's happening. But there's still like a final dungeon, there's still a final boss and all that. But it just really blew me away, like on the game. And there's a card game in there that's really cool too. Oh yeah, there's this one. There's a lot of like fun, quirky stuff. You get to this city called Thames, like the Thames River or whatever, and it's basically like a giant floating city. It's like a barge that has a city on top of it, and there's a spinning elevator like in the middle of it. And there's also this really big bar. It's called like it's called like a beer. It's called like Beer Fountain or something like that. And there's like all these there's these people drinking around, talking about being drunk and working and having drinks and all that. And there's this guy that's stuck on the spinning elevator, and whenever you get on there, he's like, "Please don't operate the elevator, please. I'm so sick." And then he's just like laying in the background, and he just talks about how sick he is because you keep going in the spinning elevator, and he's drunk and he's ready to puke, and it makes me laugh every time. This drunken spinning guy. And you get to kill God even. The game starts like that. They talk about killing God. You get to go kill God, and you get to find out the religion is completely fake. It's all been put together by the government to control the masses. Like you learn all of this in this game. It tells you all of it. It's about the creation of man, and then the lies to society and all this stuff. It's pretty fucking deep for a PlayStation 1 game. From what I heard, it was originally supposed to be Final Fantasy VII, before Final Fantasy VII, but they thought it was too dark, so they didn't go for it. But man, I want to know what that world was, where Xenogears with Final Fantasy VII. That would have been a crazy world. And we got like this 3-part remake of it, like the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, remake, rebirth, reparations, whatever they're calling the third one. Would it be crazy if that was Xenogears, like that was what they were doing the remake of? But if you can get a hold of it, Jeremy, you should try it out because it's really cool. I've been loving it. Like I said, I've been playing it every night. I mean, I was quarantined in the basement for like a week and a half or whatever. So I've been just playing video games, and I'm just playing Xenogears. So at least I had some time to do that. It's got an incredible soundtrack done by Yasunori Mitsuda from Chrono Trigger. The Chrono Trigger person did soundtrack as well. And like I
knew there was a Chrono Trigger connection. That's one of the reasons I want to play it.
Well, and Takahashi is the main Xenoblade guy. So he it's kind of cool to see like the progression of it, because he worked for Square. The Square gave him his own project that was Xenogears. That didn't sell as well as they wanted, probably because it got some backlash for not being complete, but some people gave it really, really good scores as well. But that didn't work out well enough for them, so they didn't give him another project after that. So then he moved to Namco, and then he did Xenosaga, which was supposed to be like a 6-part series, and that ended up only being 3 parts. And then a little game called Baten Kaitos came around, and Nintendo kind of swooped him up after that, and then he became part of Nintendo with Monolith, and doing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and Splatoon and Animal Crossing and all these fucking games. Like they do so much shit for Nintendo now. And it's just cool to see like the origins of all that, going all the way back to Xenogears. And there's multiple things in that game that I've been like, oh, I remember that. I've seen that in Xenoblade. I've seen that in this. I've seen that in that. Like there's you notice things, and even like the way the combat system is, like how you do the combos and all that. You see a lot of that in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Like that was all based around combos and doing everything with your 6-part team and all that, like back and forth. So like, it's cool to see like the origins of it and where it went to now, So somehow I found myself another Xenoblade game, a hidden Xenoblade game in the form of Xenogears. So it's been a lot of fun to play. Yeah, it's got a very, very good soundtrack, and it's really good. It's a really good game. I'm really enjoying it. Even though some of the platforming stuff can make you want to pull your hair out, but you just gotta soldier on. And if you're ever on any of Mike's shows, he makes like he'll make like a Facebook message thing where you can message everybody from the show, and we kind of like, shoot shit back and forth as to where everybody's at and all that, and it's fun. I was like muting it for a while because I hadn't started it yet, and I was like, I started right before we recorded last week, and then it turns out that I am farther ahead than some people, so I don't feel as bad, But we're gonna try to. I only have like maybe 2 more days to play it. I'll probably be able to play it like Friday and Saturday because we're recording on Sunday. But we'll see how far I get. I wanted to at least get to disc 2. So, and I don't want to take all the thunder out of Mike's show, but it's going to be fun to talk about it. But yeah, it's a really good game, and they should re-release it because it's expensive as fuck to try to get a physical copy of that. Oh, and I also found out that the PlayStation 3, they took out the option to put games from your PS3 to your PSP because my plan was to put Xenogears on my PSP and take it with me to Kalamazoo and continue to play it while I'm here. But I found out that they removed that in one of the last updates. Why would you get rid of that? That was one of the coolest things about the PS3 and the PSP, that you could like move your saves from one to another really easily. Like you just plug a USB thing in and hook it up to your PSP, and you can just move your saves back and forth. That's how I played through Final Fantasy VII. I played through it on the PS3 and the PSP. I just kept going back and forth. So unfortunately, I have not been able to play it for the past 2 days. So I've been, fucking around with the S16 and playing Bakeru, which I did really want to play that demo because I heard it came out like right before we left to come here. So there we go. But anyway, let's take a break. And also, if you have Doom 1 and 2, you can get it for free. You can download the Doom 1 plus 2, which you have those, right, John? Doom 1 and 2. Yep. Did you download the 1 plus 2 thing?
I did. Yeah. I kicked it around a little bit. I can't really say that I noticed what the difference is. I know that there's extra levels and all that stuff, but I don't know. I never really played the originals too much to know what the difference is. So
I was pretty close to playing all the way through Doom 1 on the other ones, and then I fucked around with 2 a little bit. But when I was editing last week, I played some of it because there's Doom mods in there. There's like a good amount of extra content that people have made, even stuff that Night Dive Studios themselves have created, which is cool because they're all like first-person shooter nerds, so it's cool to see. Like I even saw them put it on Twitter where they're like, "Hey, look, we made these levels. Like check them out," And they did some extra effects or whatever. Like looks a little bit better than the other one. I'm really happy you don't have to buy it again if you already have it. So I downloaded it. I've only played it briefly, but I did that. Anyway, let's take a break and we'll come back and talk about whatever news we have.
Hey, you.
It's me, Mario.
Yeah, you. Subscribe to our Patreon to hear our bonus shows, which happen every month.
I'm tired.
Tired of all the big corporate podcasts spoon-feeding you the same old video game news on every single show?
Spaghetti. Ravioli.
Then expand!
With NintenDomain Expansion Pack.
It's us talking about old games that were important to us. It's us interviewing people that we meet at conventions. And heck, it's live shows from those same conventions. It's basically everything you could want that NintenDomain ever made.
Here we go!
And it's just $1 a month.
That's less than a bad indie on the eShop.
It's $12 a year, which is less than Nintendo Switch Online.
Thank you so much for subscribing to our Patreon and supporting NintenDomain.
Just go to patreon.com/NintenDomain podcast and hey, Mario, let go. Whoa! He's throwing us back to the show.
So long, Bowser.
Patreon.com/NintenDomain podcast.
Game over.
break, let's talk about the news for the week.
News. Don't snooze or you miss the news.
See, what games do we have coming out? We already talked about Doom 1 and 2. That's last week. Rewind or Die is coming out. I don't really know anything about this, but I was looking at it on the eShop. It looks like it's like a first-person adventure or something. I didn't see any guns in there. It says a video store slasher.
Are you like protecting Blockbuster or something?
Yeah, it's like a horror game that takes place in a video store. So I don't really know much about it. Yeah, on that seems to appeal to our tastes. That comes out this week for $12.
Yeah, on the 16th, which is tomorrow. So, hooray. As far as updates go, World of Goo 2, they heard everybody being upset about the Joy-Cons, and they updated it to where you can use your Pro Controller.
I think it was our episode.
With you can use the Pro Controller now to move it around. So cool. I mean, I still want to buy it obviously because I really like World of Goo 1, but I'm more swayed to do it now obviously because I didn't want it to be a Joy-Con only one. Even though I found a whole bunch of Joy-Cons in a box the other day and my charger, and I've charged all of them. I still don't want to use them. So because it's really annoying if you're trying to pick another game, you accidentally pick it and then you can't get out of it because it doesn't work with the regular controllers. Then you got to get up and you got to switch. It just ruins your day. It just ruins everything. The newest thing about on the Switch 2 front is they're saying developers are being told not to expect the Switch 2 before April 2025. And you know what I say to that? Fucking duh. I mean,
yeah, it's going to be.
Isn't that kind of like something we already knew?
I think the earliest
Somebody's
we
gotta get
expected it would
clicks.
be. Well, no, the earliest I expected it personally, and probably anybody else, would be like around the time of the original Switch release, which was like March. 2nd, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
March 3rd, yeah.
So it's like, okay, a month later, all right, sure, whatever.
Or more. I mean, I don't know. There's still
I know,
still
but
a lot of
like,
Switches going
it's
around.
It's for that fiscal year shit. That's got to be part of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's fiscal year too, and also didn't like the President Bowser or whatever say that he wanted to. They were trying to ensure that they had enough units together, like so everyone would be able to get one, and they wouldn't have shortages and stuff like that. So maybe they're like really just trying to put them all together, like really.
They're just going to squeeze all that Switch milk out.
Yeah, and also they still got to beat the PS2 and the game and the DS numbers.
It's going to happen this year.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
It's going to pass up the PS2, and that's going to be pretty incredible because
the Game Boy.
Like there were only 2 versions of the Switch. Well, I guess there were more than 2, but you know what I mean. Like the PlayStation 2 had like 4 different versions, I think.
I thought it was just the PlayStation, the big one and the Slim. I thought there was only 2 for the PlayStation 2.
There were different Slims. There were like a few different generations of the Slim.
There was Slim. There was like the Alive Slim Shady, and then there was the Dead Slim Shady.
Well, there was one. I remember there was one that was
the new album was terrible, by the way.
And one that had the slot loader. So maybe there was only 3 total. But I thought there were more models of the Fat as well.
No,
Plus, they had like
so.
and I think you had to have the Fat in order to run the hard drive, if I remember correctly. The Slims didn't do that.
Oh, I didn't think they had a hard drive.
Yeah, there was a hard drive. It was only really for Final Fantasy
9.
Final Fantasy
11. I mean,
11. Yeah,
11. Yeah, the one that no one played.
Yeah. Well, there's only 3 of the Switch, and the Switch is gonna beat them. And I think that's. I don't know if they're saying nothing before April 2025. I mean, I'm guessing that I thought it was going to be in March, just like the Switch 1 was. But if not before April, then I'm guessing. All right, now that means fall 2025.
I mean, that's a big. I mean, why don't
they're not going to
release it in the summer.
I don't know. I don't
think they've ever released a console in the summer.
I don't think.
Well, they never had released a console in March either. before the Switch, they normally released them around holiday time. So I mean, there's a first time for everything.
You're right.
I'm not like betting on April 2025 or anything like that. I'm just saying that fall seems pretty far away from that. If I was going to bet between fall or summer, I'd bet on summer. That's what I would do.
I would wonder if there was like I don't know if you do a soft launch, but do like there'd be a new Switch, but maybe not a killer app for it. for a bit. Just like it'll run better or it'll have more memory or something initially.
Like the new 3DS.
I think so, maybe.
I mean, the new 3DS didn't really have any. I mean, the only app they had directly from Nintendo was Xenoblade Chronicles 3D.
Well, that and it was that they finally put Pixel Perfect
Super Nintendo games
for Nintendo, yeah. Which actually was a huge reason why I finally bought my 3DS, because I thought that was fucking cool to play. You couldn't really just download Super Nintendo games on the go at that point in time.
And also, my 3DS was kind of broken at the time, so I needed a better one.
Let's go back to some Doom news. They're doing Doom Anthology, which is going to be a physical edition with Doom 2, Doom 64, Doom 3, Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal, all in the Steelbook. Plus, this is pretty cool, a 5-inch replica BFG with LED lights. That'll be for $80. Does that appeal to you, Trey?
No, because I have all these games.
I think they should include a pregnancy test with Doom running on it. Like, I would buy it if that was part of it.
I mean, they should do the same thing they did with the Doom 1 and 2 collection and just give it to me for free. Just send me the free BFG and we'll be cool. Because I have all these games. No, none of this appeals to me at all. So no.
What does a big friendly giant have to do with anything?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's holding a big fucking gun.
I don't want a physical. I'm done with physical editions. Even though I was kind of tempted with the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection being $20 on Amazon for the physical version, which friend of the show, Shake, he said he's getting it. And he also says congrats to you, Jereme, on your wedding, if he hadn't said it before. He wanted me to
definitely invited. That's a big travel, but Shake is
he's in New York, yeah. And also he got COVID too. I just talked to him on Monday, and yeah, he also everybody got COVID, like I said. As I said, we got it, and he's like, yeah, I just got it. I just got over it too. So
I had a coworker that just came back from near Branson, and they had it. Like they were on vacation or whatever.
It's
all I don't have that I'd like to get the Thumby Color.
Yeah, it's got shoulder buttons now.
I want it.
It looks like a Game Boy Advance.
So Thumby was a gift that Jereme sent to John. It's kind of funny to send it to John because I think you have bigger hands than all of us. John does.
Oh, absolutely.
So give him the smallest Game Boy that you can't play.
It's a Game Boy that's the size of the tip.
I tried it briefly. Yeah, I tried it briefly at the.
I tried it at the wedding party, and it's like
it was giving me a headache.
I just couldn't. It's like it was like the N gauge or whatever. You try to press like one button, you press 10 at the same time. It's like that. It's like I can't even do this.
Like there should be an adapter or something to make it bigger.
If I trimmed my nails that day, I can't play the Thumby. That's how specific.
Oh, you need
my thumbnails. Yeah,
you need that extra reach from the meat part of your hand.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that April Fool's joke that they did, that IGN did, the fight stick for the Game Boy, where you like have a fight stick and you stick your Game Boy Advance in the middle of it? That's what you need.
That was a pretty good one.
You stick the Thumby in the middle of a fight stick, and then that's how you play it. You need like a leverless controller, and you stick your Thumby in the middle, and then you can be like.
I'm definitely interested because this seems like it's a bit more. I don't know, like not that the original Thumby wasn't. I don't know. This looks like it has the capability to run emulators, and they're not saying it, but I think it probably could.
Yep. So it's. I mean, it looks more. It is shaped like a Game Boy Advance, so it looks a little bit more. It does look a little more in line with that kind of capability.
No, do I remember this correctly? Does it use a Pi chip, or am I thinking of something else?
I don't remember.
I did actually like read about it because I
Pi or whatever.
I mean, I don't know. The Thumby was just so hilarious, but now having seen it, it's like I don't like it, but I appreciate it for existing.
It's definitely cool. I think it's definitely worth. I don't know what you paid for it, but it's worth whatever you paid for it.
Not much.
It's cool. It's cool. I like it. And it's fun to just break it out. I did enjoy trying to play little. They call it tiny blocks, but it's Tetris. I think that worked pretty well. And I do intend to try and make some games for it too. That's the other thing about these is you can actually make games for them.
It just feels like you would program something, but it wouldn't fit in there, not because of like the size of the file, but just the size of the text as you're programming it. Like, right. No, the letter A is not going to fit in there.
Nope.
It's big. It's bigger than the entire Thumby.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool. cool thing. I'm interested in the Thumby color, and this is on Kickstarter, I believe now.
Okay,
For
so
$50.
it's not out yet. It's gonna take
It won't be out for a bit, but
it's gonna
apparently
take
there
some
was
time.
enough of a groundswell for the Thumby that they're going to sequelize it.
Yeah, enough people got the regular one. It was that one. It was the one purchase that Jereme did. That Jereme got. That's really pushing him over.
I took it over the top, and then they were like, "Wait, who's this guy?" And they found out I used to write for Ardu Boy. Like, oh, we got to have him on our team.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah.
What if he goes back to Ardu Boy? Then we're fucked.
Industry legend Jereme of the Ardu Boy times.
Oh yeah, I'm that guy. I got that Ardu dog in me.
So yeah, we can talk about this next news story. Which you know what the next news story is? Capcom keeps just showing fucking videos of their stupid Marvel collection and not telling us when it's coming out. Fuck you. We know what these games look like. They're fucking old. Give us a fucking release date. Like, who cares? Yeah, here's X-Men versus Street Fighter. Yeah, that came out like 30 years ago. Cool. Give us a fucking release date. We were talking about that on the stream. Shake is also incredibly upset about the lack of release dates coming from Capcom. Like, get your shit together. Get your shit together. We want that fucking Marvel collection. Get it out there. Damn it. I'm tired of these fucking teases that don't tell us anything. It's like, here's a trailer from an old arcade game from the 90s. Fucking get it together.
They should take a cue from the folks at Bitwave Games who are putting out Gimmick too, who dropped a trailer for the game, made the first announcement like 5-6 weeks ago, and then this week we got the date, and the date is September 5th. So that's how you announce a game these days. You announce it when it's pretty much done. And then, a couple weeks later, you give the date, and the date happens to be just like 2 weeks out from that announcement.
Nintendo sort of kind of does that.
Well, yeah, Nintendo does that for the most part, aside from Metroid Prime 4, but they just wanted us to know that exists. But so yeah, Gimmick too. I was happy that I was the first one to put this on Slack because I was up early and working and all that, and I happened to pull up X, and there it was Gimmick 2, and yeah, with a very quick release. So Gimmick 2 is coming out on the 5th, and Bakeru is coming out on the 3rd. So that's going to be a pretty solid week right there.
Good week for both of us.
2 games, yeah, 2 games that we both really wanted to happen, and now they're happening. So there you go. I don't know if we ever talked about.
I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, well, of course you are. You should buy something you should record yourself beating it and put it on YouTube so we can get views for it.
Oh yeah,
because I'm not going to beat it. You got to get yourself like a $60 capture thing or something. They're really not that expensive. I bought mine for $60 and that was like 20.
Or just record the screen with your phone,
like a pro.
Yeah. Well, was it DS-Capades did that, right? But yeah, it's hard to record DS stuff. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but Stray's coming out in November 19th. So.
I'm not interested. I mean, I was interested in that game, but I mean, at this point, I'll Switch 2 around the corner, and I've heard
6 months.
It doesn't look it. Yeah,
I'm interested in.
I'm not interested in playing. At this point, I'm not.
I wouldn't be surprised if you couldn't play it on your computer because it's like everywhere.
This thing. So the thing about Stray is, I've heard that it's like kind of sad for cat owners, and you get like. And your cat that you're playing as can get killed and stuff like that. I like Little Kitty Big City where your cat's like indestructible. You can like jump off of a skyscraper and you'll land on the ground and you're fine. And you just kind of just roll it off. I don't want to see a cat like dying constantly. Nobody wants that. That seems like a downer. I don't know. I saw people being all sad about it, about playing it. So.
Yeah, I'm not into it.
So
I'm had it, and I played a hot second of it because when I first got my PS5, that was one of the first games I played because that's around when it came out, and yeah, I just couldn't get into it. It felt too walking simulator, like even though it was supposed to be this cool immersive cat game, it felt very much like I'm just going down a set path and there's cool animations, but am I really having fun?
I wish I would have had more time when we all hung out so I could have shown you the Little Kitty Big City game, because that game is definitely not a walking simulator. It's basically more like a 3D version of the Goose Game, but with a cat. It's like, let's be a cat and let's fuck with people. And you have this whole city that you can explore, and the jumping mechanic is really, really good. Like that was a big star of that game for sure. Like how you can kind of like hold a button and you have a little target with little cat feet that you like, place to which, and you kind of like gauge it like a cat would, to try to figure out how to jump to it. It was really cool. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, I played
like
it.
all the meme of all the like science stuff happening in the air when the cat's thinking before it jumps.
Yeah. You've seen it. You got 3 cats. You see them size it up and all that. Like it was a really unique way to like capture that as a video game. Like how you'd be like, oh, can I make that? And then you do. And I like that game. I mean, I basically played it till I beat it. I loved it for the week that I got it, and it was a lot of fun. So play that.
Let's talk about how bad the Borderlands movie bombed.
Well, hold on. I just want to, just because there's some Ys stuff in here. There was a big NIS event where people got to go look in Ys 10 and be like, "Oh, this game is great," and it's like, "Yeah, it's been out for a year in Japan. Yeah, we know it's great. There's a demo of it. Look at it. It's really awesome. Come out already. It's coming out in October. At least there's a day, and I did actually already order it on Amazon, a physical version with a deluxe version. It was the same as everything else. So hooray! And
I thought you were over physical.
Well, I did it for the. Yeah, I did it for the Ys. I did it for the Ys 10, and also there was at the same event, NIS said that they were going to try very hard to cut down the localization time. Which yes, please, because it takes forever. Like, this game came out a long time ago in Japan and not here. It would be nice to see a simultaneous release sometime for future Ys games. That'd be great. But yeah, Borderlands. Did anybody want to see that? No, I didn't. Did anybody think that'd be fun? Like, I don't even like the game. Like, why would I want to see the movie? I guess whatever. I don't like. I don't know. I don't like Fallout. Well, I never.
I watched
Fallout,
a couple.
but, yeah.
So I watched a couple podcast interviews with Jack Black, and Jack Black's kind of
he's getting the band back together now, right? Now that Borderlands bombed, that's what I heard.
Exactly, like kind of doing damage control for the whole Tenacious D thing, but like. Not really. The 2 podcasts I listened to, which I think one was it was the one with Bobby Lee, and then there was another one I can't remember, but with Conan O'Brien. It was like in both of those podcasts, and granted, this wasn't an original thought. I saw it in the comment section or whatever, but and both of the podcasts, like Jack Black doesn't mention Borderlands until the very, very end. Where they're like, "Oh, by the way, I'm here to promote Borderlands," and that's it. Like, it doesn't even really talk about what character he is or who's in the movie or anything. Just like, hey, this is based off of a game that I really used to like playing, and that's it. So it's kind of funny because, like, well, yes, talking about getting the band back together, but not in any kind of specific way, not any sort of like actually like addressing the controversy. Which is fine. I mean, he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. But it was definitely like the promo circuit that people go on in Hollywood, because so many podcasts are based out of there. Like, it's like you go on this promo circuit and it's the new talk show and you're promoting something, but he was not promoting Borderlands. Not at all.
Yeah, he was just I guess he was just trying to I wondered too.
I have a feeling he was obligated to.
I mean, you've seen like we've seen people come. We've seen people go out and promote shitty movies. Like you remember people going to talk shows for Rise of Skywalker. Saw a bunch of that. Like they knew it was a piece of shit, but they still got to be out there and talk about it. Come see our awful movie where we cater to racists. It's great. But
I just think, like, from what I know about
no matter
Borderlands,
what it is, you still got to do the fucking rounds and promote your piece of shit.
Yeah,
because you're
and also you have to protect your bottom dollar, hence the whole Tenacious D thing. We don't have to get into that, but it was I don't know. I read a little bit about it, and maybe John, you were going to get into it a bit, but like it just seems like it's, from what I've read, it's like totally divorced from the actual game, and they did that intentionally. They want it to be its own like side thing, which is
thing.
But
so freaking stupid.
The game's not even
That's so
really,
dumb.
not even really that good though. Like it.
Well,
I don't understand where the story is in this game. Like, I mean, it's a Mad Max wannabe game. Like go watch Mad Max.
And it's like, super
like the game.
Blue humor, as we said earlier. But this is a PG-13 movie also, so they can't.
It seems like
have that humor in it.
Can't have all the.
I mean, they got
jokes,
Eli Roth,
jokes.
the guy who was known for making horror movies, to direct this movie. So obviously, at some point down the line, at some point down the line, there was an intention to make a gory R-rated movie, and it seems like they got cold feet and they trimmed it. And
did they get cold feet, or did the executives kneecap them?
I think they kneecapped them, because they did come out that they actually filmed R-rated sequences, blood and gore and all that stuff. So this was at one point supposed to be an R-rated movie.
I mean, considering it's a
Some-
video game movie, it feels like that would have just been CGI anyway, for the most part.
Yeah, I don't know. But I wonder if they're.
I mean, most blood
I mean,
and gunshots are
certainly
CGI
now they're
Like, were they using
regretting
squibs or whatever? Probably not.
No,
certainly now they're regretting it because this movie made $8.8 million on a budget of 160 something or whatever.
Yeah.
And this in the shadow of Deadpool, which just crossed $1 billion, which is an R-rated as fuck movie, and still going strong. So I think hopefully they'll learn their lesson. They won't. But, when you make a movie like this, you just stick to the source material. You stick to your gut and make something that's true to the material, which will please the fans.
Even though that probably wouldn't have done that well either. Because
the fans weren't pleased. No one
boring.
No one. Well, so there's fans out there who like Borderlands who would have probably gone to support this movie en masse had they heard that, hey, this is just like Borderlands.
Some people really
that's not
love
gonna happen.
Borderlands.
Yeah, it's got that annoying. It's got that annoying robot constantly chirping at you through the whole damn thing.
Yeah,
and you can get 5,000 guns for watching it. 5,000.
Some people like it.
They just need to throw loot at you the whole time. It needs to be like that Feel Around Vision movie from Kentucky.
Wait,
Fried
you get
Movie.
5,000 You get 5,000 guns if you go see the movie.
Yeah, they hand guns to you constantly. It's a looter movie. It's a new thing. We got to make that where you go to the movie. They give you guns. They give you 5,000 guns, and you can shoot yourself and everybody else there, and then you won't have to remember watching the movie. Boom.
Oh boy,
there's a $100 idea right there. It's great.
So on a similar token, it came out this week that Amazon didn't want the Like a Dragon Yakuza stars of their new Yakuza show to play the games before filming the show. Yakuza,
well,
yes.
Maybe they didn't want to know. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want to mix up the script of that and another one. I mean, I heard the TV show isn't going to have karaoke in there, so what's even the point? Like that's the heart of Kiryu. Like, come on, how can we know about his love for Kamurocho if he's not singing it as he does in the games? Like you need. Like, if you want to capture the feel of the Yakuza games, you got to have the mini games in there. It's like, it's like a Super Monkey Ball game. Well, it was made by the same people who made Super Monkey Ball, so you got to have the mini games in there. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. He needs to be bowling and winning chickens that he hires to manage buildings. That's what we need. We need that from Yakuza 0. It's great.
I mean, that's how the actual Yakuza works. I've heard.
Yeah, well, in the game it did. We need that chicken in there. Which wasn't even it was supposed to be a turkey, but it's not even a turkey, it's a chicken.
I shouldn't be saying stuff like that when I'm planning on going to Japan eventually.
What, Yakuza?
I'm about to talk shit about the actual Yakuza.
Yeah, it's when we were there, we stayed in Shinjuku, which is pretty much the basis for Kamurocho, and I kept talking about Yakuza, and Jess is like, don't say it that loud. Like, it's fine. They played the game. They know. Even though it's called Like a Dragon, it was called a Like a Dragon in Japan before it was turned to Like a Dragon here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I hope the show's still good. Maybe they just didn't want to.
We don't need to be talking about, I don't know, walking through Compton talking about the Crips and the Bloods or whatever, It's got to be.
There's a big thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe when you and Sean are there, there's a whole thing about having visible tattoos, like because of like the association to Yakuza and all that. So just like wore a coat the whole time to cover their tattoos and all that.
That's a thing we've been looking at with the
with
the onsens. Like either we have to choose really touristy ones, or we have to get like.
Oh, you mean the bathhouses?
The hot springs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the same thing. Yeah, because most of them they outlaw tattoos, so we didn't go to any of them. Well, there's some that say that they do, but we thought that they'd still just evil eye us.
There are garments you can get, so we've looked into that.
But just in general, even just like walking around with visible tattoos, you get stink eyes from everyone.
I don't have a lot as far as that's concerned. Sean's got more than I do.
No shorts for you. Can't show off your Robin Hood tattoos. Or you can, whatever.
But it's anime.
Yeah, but I mean, they're probably going to look down on you anyway.
They will.
Happy 35th anniversary to the Sega Genesis, released 35 years ago in North America today.
Wow. I didn't know it was that old. It's as old as the Game Boy? The Sega Genesis?
As old as the game. 1989 was when it came out. Yep.
Wow.
8/14/89.
Look at that. What a system.
And it just makes me think of that every time I hear about the Sega Genesis. It makes me think of that Handy Snacks commercial that we've talked about before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you showed us that one. All right. Any thoughts on the Genesis turning 35? I mean, Just
So
To
old.
me,
It
it's
seems
like-
older. It seems older.
Really?
You think it
I
seems
thought
older?
it was younger.
No, not really. No, it does. That is crazy to think 35 for what was like out of the gate, like the first like 16-bit console that really kind of. I mean, the Genesis was going strong through most of the SNES's life, so it's crazy to think that generation started 35 years ago.
35 years ago. Yeah, I think 35 years. I think maybe that's like, Atari 1977 or what? Nope. 35 years ago is 1989. And we're into the third generation of video game consoles 35 years ago. So we're all
Yeah.
getting old. That's that story again.
I mean, that was where the polish really kind of,
Started to happen. Yep.
you'd have all the weird artifacting and overlapping
Blast
mobs
processing.
or whatever that. I don't know. I'm just talking about like I'm thinking about Atari and like when I was going through the Atari 50 recently, it's just like those games they're playable, but something about the graphical style is still just really turns me off. I know it was what they had to work with
because there's
but-
not a lot of it. There's not a whole lot of graphical.
Well,
style.
it's just how
very minimal.
right.
Like Genesis and Super Nintendo, that's where things really started to get crystallized. Like,
Yeah, and they stay good looking now. I still want to play Genesis games. Gunstar Heroes, holy shit, that
stay
game
good
is
looking.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like genres were birthed at that time that are still
Or like,
going
well,
strong.
and don't forget about like Streets of Rage. Like, still has an incredible
Uh-huh.
soundtrack from
Yep.
Yuzo Koshiro. So I mean, yeah.
Because Genesis had an actual Yamaha synthesizer chip from a keyboard, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know John Wedgeworth has talked about that plenty of times because he's a Sega fanboy, but that's fine. I was, Sega was always like the grass was always greener for me. It was the system across the way. I've told you before about my friend Daniel Jones. My mom, his mom used to babysit me when I was younger. I'd stay at his house after school or whatever. And when the Super Nintendo was announced, my young brain thought that Nintendo had betrayed me because I thought that the NES would be the system of all time, and the fact that they were asking me to buy a new system that made them the bad guys. So,
Are you sure you're like you didn't watch a news program where it's
no, I didn't watch
that
anything.
in
I didn't
your
watch
brain?
anything. I was like 5.
because
You know?
that was totally like what all the adults were saying at the time about like not all
Yeah,
of
you-
them, but
Trey was like a 40-year-old mom at the time. Like, I don't
well,
know if I want to buy
shit.
this.
After this investment that I've made in my future gaming, now all of a sudden I have to start all over again.
Well, I did. I mean, I had never had a system. This is the first system I ever had, and I was like, aside from the Commodore 64, but that kind of sucked. But
Hey, that's a system.
I'm just saying I did have that, but it wasn't as cool as the NES, I guess. But I just thought, I was just like, well, the NES is forever. It's like, you want to make another one? Fuck that. And I remember convincing Daniel to get one. I don't think he ever forgave me for that, for telling him to get the Genesis instead of Super Nintendo. But there's some good games on the Genesis, but it didn't have, he wanted like the Final Fantasies and the Donkey Kong Countries and those sort of games that weren't on there. I know they had Vector Man, but Vector Man was no Donkey Kong Country. I'm sorry. I mean, it looked like it, but it had the fully rendered, but it was not really there for the gameplay.
Seems like Genesis did better arcade ports, especially with fighting games and stuff.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I mean, John Wedgeworth would definitely argue for that because you could have bigger sprites on the Genesis versus Super Nintendo, and that sort of thing. So you could make it a little bit more accurate to the arcade. So
also,
Right
you
on
didn't
that.
have the whole like obviously the blood code thing that we talked about earlier. Like Sega was trying to
that was
appeal to
that
older-
was a big deal for Mortal Kombat, even though Mortal Kombat looks like shit on
yeah.
on Genesis versus Super Nintendo. I did a whole video about that actually. If you look it up on YouTube, I did a whole video about the Genesis versus the Super Nintendo Mortal Kombat game. You can find it, or maybe I'll probably put it in the description.
I do remember as a kid, like I still wasn't aware enough of so the Genesis versus the NES, I will say. Like I had no idea, like it just didn't occur to me like that's better graphics. Like I wasn't thinking like that. Like I wanted to play Mario. I wanted to play I still had that kid brain about it all. But it was later on in the Super Nintendo's life where I was like, oh, there's like these games on Genesis that I wish I could play. And there was a bit of the appeal of it being like the edgier system, I remember. But I do find it incredible. Like one of the coolest things about the Sega Genesis is that you can plug an original Atari controller into it. It's the exact same.
Oh, really? I
Well,
didn't know that.
Atari 2700, so or 2600, whatever. So you can
So
plug
use a
any of those
joystick with one
controllers into
button.
it.
Yep,
So
you
you
can
could
plug
use
in a
the one
ColecoVision. Same thing. Yeah, you can plug in a Genesis controller into a ColecoVision and play. Yep, it's the same.
So it's
I
it's
didn't
like
even know
it's
that.
like it's got a bit of a bridge thing to it for that reason. And also, obviously, like the Master System was not appreciated here as much as it was in Japan and Europe, but like it was the system to kind of bring Master System shit to us finally. And so yeah, it was finally like where I really found myself, especially was the Game Gear, because holy shit, that was a TV in your hands. That was not this weird calculator thing. But I still liked the Game Boy better ultimately.
And it had
every
like
time I
about
played
20
them.
minutes worth of battery life if you had enough.
Yeah, and the
batteries for
games, honestly, the games weren't that great. At least the ones I played. Maybe I didn't play the right games, but
When I saw like Sonic the Hedgehog the first time, and I was still an NES brain or whatever, I was like, oh wow, that looks much more vibrant than the NES does. Like I do remember seeing that and being like, wow. And I remember my friend Chris in high school, he had a Genesis and he brought it over to my house, and I do remember the first time I heard the Streets of Rage soundtrack, and I was listening to like Dr. Dre at the time, and it actually reminded me of like, you know, the hip hop backgrounds and all that. I was like, wow, this is cool. This is like rap. Like this is awesome. You know, like I remember hearing that that sweet Yuzo Koshiro sound, and I was like, oh yeah, no, this is dope. Like, you know, because it was too, because Skate was in it. I remember seeing the little,
and a lot of that goes back to that
sound
sound.
with the skates and all that.
Like the sound chip of the Genesis, you know, it gets made fun of for being farty, and you know, I think it sounds very farty. But it was
but a good amount.
It was like a chip from like a somewhat professional level synthesizer that was on the market. So you were getting like, in a weird way, you were getting a piece of like actual like studio equipment built into your Genesis, and that's cool. I don't know. I don't know how that happened, and it'll probably never happen again. But once again, that's that weird bridge thing that the Genesis had. That it's just it means something in history for that reason. I think
definitely. I like the Genesis, and I'm glad that I have two of them now. I think. Well, I
also have two.
I bought one, and Edwin actually sent us one. Sent me a bag of video game gifts. You remember that? I opened it on the show. He sent me.
I also got my second Genesis for free.
Sent me a PS1 and a Genesis. So, because I never had a PlayStation 1, I just played my PlayStation 1 games with my PS2.
The PS1 is a great system.
So there you go.
Let's talk about Time Splitters.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued after playing Xenogears. I kind of want to play other PS1 games, but not the Final Fantasy ones because they all suck. But yeah, Time Splitters 1 through 3 coming to PlayStation Plus Premium. I'm curious. I might actually up it to Premium just to play it because it's coming out like soon. It's coming out on the 20th. It's right around the corner. It's like 5 days? Yeah, 5 days from now. So.
And coincidentally, I did swing by Disc Replay the other day when I was doing my shopping, and they had 2 copies of Future Perfect, and they were like $80 a piece.
I was gonna say for how much,
wow.
right? For probably a decent amount. When I was going through that box, I found 2 PlayStation 1 games. I found Final Fantasy IX and Chrono Cross. And guess how much those games are worth? Nothing. They're worth like nothing. They're worth like $15. Yeah, seriously, nobody gives a fuck about either of those games. I thought maybe 9 would be worth something, but no, nobody gives a fuck.
I bought Chrono Cross off eBay just 4 or 5 years ago, and I think I only spent like $10 on it. And it was like, it wasn't sealed, but it had everything in it. It was in really good shape.
Yeah, it's got everything in it. It's just nobody gives a shit about it. But yeah, I mostly want to play Time Splitters 1 because I never played that one. But if it shows up on, PS4, I mean, I might just up my PlayStation Plus just to play it, just because I want to see whatever the HD version of it is. And it might not really be that HD, but I really like Time Splitters 2 and 3, and I'd like to see what one's like. So,
I mean, the PlayStation controller, the DualShock is great for FPSs. So
that's true. And basically all of my controllers are just like that one. Well, the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4, the 5 got a little bit weirder, right? Because it's got the extra whatever triggers or whatnot, or the extra effects to the triggers, whatever they call that.
I don't even play games where that's a thing, so I haven't really dealt with it.
But sometimes I get confused, like which one's the PS3 and which one's the PS4 and which one's my Switch controller because they all look the same. They're all black controllers with the analog sticks on the bottom, and I like that. I like the way those controllers look, and those are the ones that I want to play. Because they look like Super Nintendo controllers with analog sticks on the bottom. So, hooray! Do you guys? Just for a second, I did think it was pretty funny. The is that what you're saying? The American Dreamcast, that the Tim Waltz Sega Dreamcast obsession. I did see that. I saw that article on Twitter, and I wanted to comment on it, but I didn't. I just wanted to be like, it was Skies of Arcadia. What else would he been thinking about? It's the best Dreamcast game of all time. That's what he's thinking about.
So
I think it was Power Stone.
It came out in a New York Times article that vice presidential candidate Tim Waltz was once obsessed with the Sega Dreamcast. So this is from the AV Club reporting on the article. The Times writes of the man's high school football coaching career, saying that he regaled football players with stories they found unusually relatable, like the time his wife had seized his Sega Dreamcast, the video game console, which because he had been playing to excess. They don't go beyond that.
He's probably playing the football game, the 2K.
I was going to say, if he was into sports, the sports games were pretty big on the Dreamcast. I remember your cousin.
Those 2Ks.
I remember Rob was super into the 2K Dreamcast games at the time. I mean, it was a big deal, especially because with the mini screens on the controllers, you could finally choose a play that nobody else would see.
Choose your play. Yeah,
I can remember a friend of mine walking.
That was a big deal.
I can remember a friend of mine walking into class the day after he got his Dreamcast. He looked like he was in a daze. He just walked in. He was like, bro, 2K looks just like I'm playing it, like I'm watching a game on TV. He was just floored by NFL 2K, and that look on his face is plastered in my mind. Like I can't believe we're here. It was like he stepped into the future because he played his NFL 2K on Dreamcast.
It looked fucking amazing.
People really like those 2K games a lot. And they even had that. Isn't it like the rare Dreamcast, the sports one, like the black one that has a
yeah.
I know that's a one that's sought after. So sports
that's
games
the one
are
I
pretty
used
big.
to have.
So that might have been it. But in my mind, I want to believe that he played my two favorite games for Dreamcast: Skies of Arcadia and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. 2. I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. 3 was on PlayStation 3. But
I hope he really got sucked into Seaman and just loved hearing about his dad's birthday and all that kind of stuff.
But I played. I mean, it was a burned CD, and I can't find it. I was looking all over for it because I'd love to play it again. But Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Dreamcast, I played the shit out of that. Like just going through and just unlocking all the characters was so much fun. Like I was having so much fun with it. So yeah, that was a badass game. And I guess I'm kind of cheating because I never played Skies of Arcadia on Dreamcast. I played it on GameCube, but I really loved it on GameCube, even though I heard it was better on GameCube. Like they made there's less random battles and stuff like that, so they perfected it and they added some extra shit to it on that one. So maybe it wasn't that one, but
I say if he ends up being vice president, there should be some way to present a presidential Dreamcast that'll be like Socks the cat, but the Dreamcast that lives in the Oval, or lives in the White House.
It'll be like the Queen's gold-plated Wii, but it'll be Tim Waltz's gold-plated Dreamcast. You can finally have it back.
And I don't know what you can do as a vice president, but you know what he needs to do? He needs to be just put his hand down and be like, all right, we are starting production on Sonic Adventure 3. Get on it. Right? We never had a 3.
That's it.
I mean, they're doing all these great Sonic games now. How about a 3? Let's just do that.
Also,
let's go back.
Let's do a
Sonic Adventure 3.
Half-Life 3 has to happen by the end of fiscal year 2014.
Not Dreamcast related, but sure.
He's the gamer's president. He'll make it all happen.
Yeah.
I just felt like in this moment when we're all meeting Tim Waltz for the first time, having just heard of him 3 or 4 weeks ago or whatever. Pretty cool thing that he is into the Dreamcast too.
He seems cool. Apparently, he's done some great things for Minnesota, right?
Too bad he cracked down hard on protesters and stuff. But yeah, he's a guy.
So
last bit of news,
Galloping Ghost,
relating to what we just experienced last couple days or weeks. Galloping Ghost unveiled game number 1000. It's not the game that I thought it was going to be.
It was after we were there. Why didn't we get to be there when 1000 happened?
Because it happens on Monday,
days
right?
after.
Yeah, well, we would have been there either way. You're right.
Because it was like 2 weeks.
So I've said it before, I think on the show, that I thought it was going to be that Sega game, the one that's $250,000 and you get spun upside down and all that stuff. It was not that game. It was Road Blaster.
What is?
Isn't that basically the same game without the cage or whatever?
What is Road Blaster?
Road Blaster.
I mean, that sounds like a sex move or something you do while you're driving or whatever, like road blasting. It's like
the Road Blaster,
like while you're it's just putting your finger in some places while somebody's driving. The Road Blaster is what that's called.
There it is.
It can be done on anybody, and you can find somewhere to put your fingers.
There's actually a fourth setting for your headlights.
Nitro, yeah. If you do that, Road Blaster.
Yeah.
No, it's like what do you call a Laserdisc racing game. So it's like Dragon's Lair, like we react and you move left and right to dodge boulders.
But it uses like real racing footage, maybe.
No, it's a anime game actually.
Oh, anime, okay.
Which I think the same game was on Sega CD. There's a game on Sega CD that was like that. I think that it is Road Blaster. I can look that up real quick. Yeah, congrats to Road Blaster. Your game number 1000 at Galloping Ghost.
There's a game that I thought of you about, John, when I was listening on the 8-4 Play podcast. They have somebody on there who talks about the PC Engine a lot. He's played all the games on there. They did a PC Engine game that was a fighting game with FMV. So every time you did a move, it played a video. So it sounds like a terrible idea, but apparently you get it to work.
There was one on Sega CD, which maybe it's the same game. I don't know.
This guy is specifically dedicated to the PC Engine. So as far as I know, he said it was only on there, and I think it was I think it was Japan only too. I don't think it ever came out here, but it just sounded like, I don't know. You like FMV games, and an FMV fighting game seems like so wrong, because
so there was actually two on
the
Sega
frames
CD.
are going to be wrong on that or something.
There was one that was they were both in first person. There's one that's a boxing game. I think it's called Fight Night or something. But then the other one was a martial arts game.
I mean, Fight Night is an actual game though. There was like 3 of them, right? Fight Night Round 3.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that had the little Mac in it? The GameCube version did?
No, you're thinking of Ready to Rumble.
No, I'm not thinking about Ready to Rumble. That was on Dreamcast.
No, I don't know. We're getting way off track.
I thought it was called Fight Night Round.
But anyway, Road Avenger. Yep. Game number 1000. Congratulations. And yes, you can get it on Sega CD. It's called Road Avenger on Sega CD.
It's called Fight Night. I was right. Fight Night, EA game. On GameCube, they put Little Mac in it, and they also put the entire Super Punch-Out game on there. You actually have to beat the entire game to unlock Little Mac as a playable character. But yeah, Fight Night.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, no, not fucking Ready to Rumble. That was a 64 game and a Dreamcast game, I know. Speaking of Ready to Rumble or whatever, I forgot to mention what my middle name meant. I called myself the Dragon Slaying Slacker. And in Xenogears, the first time you get into a competition, you can choose your name just by placing things together, and that's what my name was, Dragon Slayer Slacker. So it's you basically enter this tournament to distract the guards, so one of your other characters can sneak into the castle, and you can actually switch back and forth between parties, which is pretty cool for an early game like that. But yeah, I think we're good, right? We've done all the news and whatever.
We're good.
Else.
Oh yeah, we did all the games.
We did everything. We've done 1,000 games. We've road blasted each other through this episode, and on to the next one. Anyway,
yeah, slippery when wet. By the way,
good thing I just got insurance.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to episode 434. Go to youtube.com/NintenDomain podcast and look up NintenDomain Mortal Kombat Super Nintendo vs. Genesis or something like that, and find that video that I did like 15 years ago or whatever, and watch it and laugh at it or tell me that it sucks or whatever. But you can find that on there. And also you can go to patreon.com/NintenDomain podcast. You can hear our bonus episodes. We have one up there where we talk about games of the future that have already happened, and we'll have another one coming up soon where we rank our favorite 64 games, because we're to the number of 64 of the Patreon episodes. So we'll do that. And also we have one that we recorded about the Galloping Ghost Arcade, which will be up next month as well. So plenty of stuff on there to go see. And go find me on Twitter, X, at Nintendo_domain. I've just been having so much fun posting video game ads. I think I'm up to like 300 views or whatever for my original post, but there's probably like 50 on there. I don't know. I post like 2 or 3 a day because I have so many of them. Super GG Raider reposted it and all that. Thanks. I got a little bump from that. But yeah, go look at all my video game ads from comic books. They're fun. There's a lot of them. I just posted one today from Sears, an ad from Sears. You could buy an NES for $99, $99.99. Imagine how much that would be worth now with inflation. It's going to be expensive as fuck. But yeah, fun stuff like that. Some really cool, video game ads. I don't think they do ads in comics anymore because when they I guess they upped the price, but now they added more pages or something like that. I don't know. I read everything digitally, so I don't know how the ads are nowadays. But back in the day, they were all sorts of video game ads in there. They even have like a Mappy Land ad on there. That's like my first one. Goes back that far.
ACAB.
Mappy Land, because there's cops in there. Yeah, you can find us at Nintendo_domain, or you can also find twitch.tv/NintenDomain podcast. Watch our stream every Monday. If you subscribe to us, you'll get 3 months of Apple TV if you want that. We have a whole year of Apple TV, and we don't use it between my wife and I. But, we're waiting for Severance Season 2 to come out. That'll be the only thing worth watching on there. But, yeah.
February.
They got a date now? That'd be great.
Yeah, date now. Yep.
Cool. All right, yeah. That's been episode 434. We're your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
Jerry Mikowski.
John Hitter.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.
See ya. And Grundo. Grundo. Was that a Teddy Ruxpin thing?
Come dream with us tonight.
Yeah, that's where Teddy Ruxpin lives, since the world of Grundo.
All right, Teddy's ready.
Teddy Ruxpin will tell everybody about the latest news for the week right now.
The Land of Wonder.
Land of Nightmares.